will take a lot of time. It's never like a 1-day success or a 10-day success. You have to be perseverant, you have to be patient, you have to be regularly working on the idea on why you actually started. It's okay to even fail in your first attempt. It's okay to even fail in your second attempt. Success is just about ultimately being successful and not just immediately being successful. And I literally saw how that $20 million company become $200 million with one of the India's biggest cash only exit ever happened, I think.
Good evening, Mr. Nipun Jain. Very hearty welcome to our talk show today. Nipun is also an alumnus of IIM Lucknow, and from the prestigious Delhi University, he has done his BCom in honors. So, hearty welcome to you again, Mr. Nipun, for our talk show.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much, Ideas Matters Most and SGM IMD campus. I hope we have a very healthy discussion discussing everything around entrepreneurship, startup building, and whatever you wish to ask me today.
Thank you. So, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and something caught my attention. There was a statement there saying 12 years of experience in building the business from the ground up, scaling them from 0 to 1 and then from 1 to 10. Can you please elaborate a little more on that?
Okay. I think a very keen observation. I am someone who has been very actively working on my LinkedIn profile generally, and I believe LinkedIn is a great way to tell people what exactly has been your story and what have you been doing all your life and all your career. So this comes from actually my experience. As Mr. Girish mentioned, that I got an opportunity to actually first work for my own startup. So from 2013 to 2021, I was actually running my own venture, Natty Ninos in Delhi, and that gave me a very, very clear-cut, ground-up view on how a startup is built. I was just 22 when I started, and I actually saw and did every single thing what it needs to build a company, right from my hands, right from my heart, right from my mind. So I exactly understood building a business looks very fascinating from outside view, but how difficult it is when you are actually doing it on ground. So that gave me a very, very clear 0 to 1 view, and learning it at a very early age also of course made it all the more special. Then when I ended up joining Pickrr Technologies, so because of a lot of reasons, I had to shut down my venture Natty Ninos in 2021 because of COVID and everything around COVID. That's a long story. I hope we'll get a chance to cover that part. Then I'll cover Natty Ninos story later. But then I ended up working with a company called Pickrr Technologies, which was almost in their journey of making it 1 to 10. So there I entered when they just raised their first $4 million round. And within 15 months, I actually saw that company being sold to Shiprocket for good $200 million. So I actually witnessed that 1 to 10 journey of being a 60-member company team to a 600-member team, from a $20 million valuation to $200 million valuation. So that actually gave me a 1 to 10 experience. And then luckily how entire story unfolded, I ended up joining Razorpay. You all must be knowing that Razorpay has already surpassed its 1 to 10 journey, and now Razorpay is into that 10 to 100 journey, and it's just about, like, I would say, a pre-IPO phase of its entire growth trajectory. So that's how I actually got a good 0 to 1, then 1 to 10, and now I am being a part of Razorpay and trying to enjoy the perks and the excitement of working into a 10 to 100 kind of a company.
Thank you so much. That was very inspiring and insightful. So Natty Ninos is something which is very catchy, right? So can you talk to us some of the key challenges you faced while bootstrapping Natty Ninos? Can you think of something which you faced and you were able to overcome?
Yes. So I think Natty Ninos was an experience in itself. I think what gives me a little bit of edge, I would say, and a lot of stories to share, that even at Razorpay, I think I am one of the only leaders or a director or a senior director who actually comes from an entrepreneurial background. So I always have more stories to share. I always have more struggling examples to share, that okay, what it takes to build a startup. So starting a company at 22 is never easy. I made a lot of mistakes. I made so many mistakes that at least 10 times I got this thought when I was running Natty Ninos that I should actually close down my business. But every time I used to push myself, and I used to think that okay, Startup will take a lot of time. It's never like a 1-day success or a 10-day success. You have to be perseverant, you have to be patient, you have to be regularly working on the idea on why you actually started. And that's what I think I also tried doing way back in 2013, 2014. And one thing I feel which you all should be aware, I'm very sure a lot of you will choose the way of entrepreneurship. A lot of you already might be having a ultimate business idea in your mind. So one thing you have to be very clear that success will not come on day one. It will take time, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to even fail in your first attempt. It's okay to even fail in your second attempt. Success is just about ultimately being successful and not just immediately being successful. So I think that's what I learned in my 7 to 8 years journey. I am telling you that I literally had to close my more than ₹1 crore revenue making business, that to bootstrap, that to all by myself during COVID, but still I had to come out of it and I had to choose better alternates. So that's what entrepreneurship generally teaches you, that nothing is permanent. So be very strong on your mind, on your thoughts, and that's what will take you a longer way. So I think that's my learning generally.
Thank you. This is a very good blueprint for all the want-to-be entrepreneurs here. So let's move on to Pickrr Technologies, the e-commerce logistics shipping company. It got sold or acquired for 200 million. Can you just walk us through that journey, how the acquisition happened, and what was your experience with Pickrr?
So I think, as I believe, mine is like a completely destined story. I think I was meant to be there at the right place at the right time. So when I joined Pickrr, they were actually looking for super passionate people who can join their early team and help them grow like very, very aggressively. And I was very passionate coming out of my like close startup, full of energy, full of aggression. I actually joined their core team, joined their sales team. I realized working in a startup is also equally exciting as it is running your own startup. So they were actually on a trajectory where they touched upon a space where they wanted to sell, I think, logistics as a service to all the popular D2C brands, where Shiprocket was already doing great and Pickrr was the market challenger, I would say. They literally, in the same period where Shiprocket, let's say, grew 3x, Pickrr literally grew by 10x. And that was one of the reasons Shiprocket ended up acquiring Pickrr in no time. So I think that the learning out of that experience for me was, if you really want to be a challenger, and it's okay not to be number one player in the market, but if you are able to figure out yourself as a top challenger and market leaders start having a problem with your presence, then you are in a perfect spot. It's okay not to be number one, but the number one will eventually try to either acquire you or they will come on a common table while talking to you. Let's sit on a table, let's discuss how do we have to go about it in future. So that's the most beautiful learning I have seen, that the passion there in the founders, they really wanted to make it very big. And I literally saw how that $20 million company become $200 million with one of the India's biggest cash only exit ever happened, I think. So amazing experience in general, great exposure while working with some top D2C companies, including Mamaearth, including I think PSafe, Wow Cosmetics. I have seen almost all those companies growing. So the good part is, just after COVID, this industry in itself was growing by like, I'd say, I think 20 to 25% CAGR. So Pickrr got lucky to be at the right space. Shiprocket was number one. That's the reason they got acquired. And I think passionate people like us, being a part of that team, got that ultimate exposure and growth because of that entire journey. So as I mentioned, it was about right people being there at the right space, doing the right things. So I think that's what worked for me at Pickrr.
Fantastic. I think it looks like a secret sauce, being a challenger to get acquired, right? Very good. So let's move on to Razorpay Rize. So it's a startup ecosystem where you're incubating a lot of startup ideas. Can you talk us a little bit about Razorpay Rize? Razorpay is a very common name in all households. So everybody knows Razorpay, but very few people are aware of Razorpay Rize. So can you talk to us about that?
Perfect. So yes, Razorpay. So I think I'll just give it like you asked me a very direct question, what is Razorpay Rize, but I'll just try to make you understand how I was also in the same ship when I got the first call from Razorpay in general, that Razorpay has this opening with an associate director, Razorpay Rize. So I thought it must be a fintech first role. But then when I read the JD, I realized they are actually looking out for someone who have had some kind of an entrepreneurial experience and also have exposure to working with startups. And I thought this is what I exactly need to do right now. So Razorpay Rize is a beautiful concept by both of our founders. So Harshil and Shashank, you all must have heard their name in a lot of capacities. They both thought that, okay, we have been there, we have had our struggling times. Building a startup is never easy. When we have achieved a success, when we have delivered or understood a secret formula on growing a company from 1 to 10 and then 10 to 100, why don't we give it back to the startup ecosystem? There are thousands of startups starting every month in India who actually feel startup building is very lonely. They don't have people to look out for. They don't have people who can guide them right, who can tell them right things, who can enable them at the right time for the right things. So idea of Razorpay Rize was, can we bring everything together under one roof? Can we solve each and every pain point what a startup founder actually faces in their initial 1 to, I would say 0 to first 2 years journey? And can we help those startups without putting anything commercial upfront? Everything without any cost. Let the startup feel there is someone there for them. If they need help in company registration, we'll help them. If they need help in mentorship, we'll help them. Today, very proudly, we have a community where there are more than 1,000 startups, early stage startups, precisely founders who don't have exposure with anything else in terms of funding, in terms of mentorship. And we are actually guiding all those founders one-on-one within our community. Beyond that, we help startups getting into Y Combinator, all for free. We help startups with their pitch deck reviews, all for free. We help more than, today we are doing like about 600 company registrations every month. That too without putting any money aspect in between. We simply charge government fees and then we help a startup getting their company registration done. Because the core is very clear and it is coming top down. Where Shashank and Harshil wants to help at least 1 lakh plus startups in next 5 years via Razorpay Rize. And very beautifully, Razorpay Rize has no business objectives. So my team and me sits very different from marketing team, because our goal is not to acquire business. Our goal is to just help startups. None of the startup we ever talk about, can you or should you use Razorpay? It has been done so independently that, okay, idea is just enable them, because success of Razorpay actually lies in the success of startups that we empower. And that message gives me so much of positivity and strength that I think I am at the right place and I am doing the right things. And seeing those startups up front actually give me so much nostalgia that, okay, I was also there 10 years back and now I am on the other side guiding these people for the right things. So I think I am at the right place doing the right things, as I mentioned. That's my story in general.
Thank you for that. I think for all the entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs, we know where to go. If you have a brilliant idea, go to Razorpay Rize. Yeah. So let's switch gears. So this is probably a little heavy question for you. As an entrepreneur and a change maker, I'm sure you would have faced a lot of ethical dilemmas. How do you think one should navigate such situations effectively?
That's actually like a very tricky and subjective question, I would say. See, ethical dilemmas will always be there. I think there is no right way, first of all. There is a very thin line and a very gray area when it comes to calling something right and calling something wrong. Even, let's say, being strict as a manager for some people can be wrong, and being strict as a manager for some people can be right. Similarly, I think is for a professor in college. So ethical or not being ethical is totally dependent on how you first portray certain information to the larger audience and how you handle it very, very mindfully. So it is all about how, in what situation you are doing that thing. So it is very situational, I would say. But if your heart is right and if your general sense of doing that thing is with the right, I would say with the right thought process, then I think there is nothing non-ethical in general for anyone to deliver. But if you knew it right from the start that you are doing a wrong thing and the agenda and the purpose was always not the right intention but the wrong intention, then I would say that was upfront unethical in every possible way. So I have been a big follower of doing things in the ethical way, and I believe, and I always tell it to my team, my colleagues, my stakeholders, that goodness has no alternate. If you are good, if you are doing things with the good intention, everything good will come back to you. And that's the success mantra of my life, and I always tell others also the same thing.
Thank you. So if your intention is right, it's okay.
Sorry?
If the intention is right, and
100%.
yeah, very good. So let's now talk about India as a country. Right? We are now one of the fastest growing startups globally. You know, the government is doing a lot of things to boost startup culture in India. From your personal opinion, what measures should India do or take to sustain this leadership position? Because we're constantly challenged by a lot of countries vying for this piece.
I think this is my very, very personal opinion kind of an answer. I think one I would, and then this comes from my experience of being very closely working with more than, I would say, 10,000 startups in last 2 years. One of the core challenges I think which revolves around actually is ease of doing business. Even today, after so many advancement in what we see in the news, that okay, the portals are working really great. The TAT has reduced for something as simple as getting a GST certificate, or even getting a company incorporation done. But I think on ground, still in reality, we are still very far away from golden standards of how things are done, let's say, in developed countries like Singapore or US. I was just in Georgia 15 days back, and I happened to talk to a cab driver. He told me that a company registration there takes not more than 2 hours there. And I was literally awestruck, because in India today, on an average, a company gets registered or incorporated in nothing less than 15 days. So we are still very far from ideal scenarios. We are very far from digitizations. There are still a lot of things which are dependent on manual approvals. For instance, even today, a GST certification cannot be obtained until your local GST authority approves it. So still a lot of things are far away from digitization. That is my one point, which is I feel ease of doing business is still not that great for a well-educated founder to come in and start doing things with a lot of ease. Second, I would say I think we are very concentrated on 3 to 4 metro cities, which I see as a great challenge, considering we'll have a 2x or a 3x kind of a audience or I would say people who would want to exploit such opportunities when it comes to jobs or also in terms of entrepreneurship. So Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Delhi cannot sustain that kind of a pressure. Is our government ready enough? I don't think so. Even today, I don't think so we have alternates. So I think these are the two things which I feel if India wants to be seen as the global leader when it comes to like give entrepreneurship the top level importance, we need to solve these two so that youth feels that I can very easily try to start and I can very easily navigate when the startup building is already so tough. So that is my two areas, I think.
Thank you. I think ease of doing business has always been a challenge here. While we have a lot of new digital platforms, integrating those platforms and making those workflows work has been a big challenge.
Though the good part is things are improving, but I still feel we are very far away.
Yes, I agree. So one hypothetical question, right? And again, this is probably something which you can draw your experience. Let's say you had 100 crores today and you have to invest in some kind of a startup. Which industry would you bet your money on and why?
Okay, I think I'm a big fan of B2C startups. I feel there is excitement. There is a direct consumer you can get in touch with. My Natty Nino startup was actually in kids and baby industries. That is one sector I might want to exploit again, because I feel in India, kids and baby sector in itself is one of the most booming sector, considering we all have just one kid today and parents wants to do every possible thing they can do to raise that child. So kids in baby sector, definitely. It can be around providing the right knowledge to the moms. It can be providing a common platform to mothers to solve each and every problem they might face in the first 5 years of their kids' journey. That can be one of the idea. And second, I would say, I think food in general excites me. So considering the growth of Swiggy, Zomato, and the similar platforms, that can be another industry, because I am very sure with a middle class population like ours, food industry is here to stay, and even delivery business is here to stay. But always baby and kids as the first promising sector, I would want to start probably again.
Maybe Pampered Babies is a new name. Okay. So one last question. I'm sure your journey has been inspiring for a lot of us here. I'm sure you would have been inspired by a lot of people who you have crossed paths in your career. Can you talk about some individuals or figures whom you have been inspired by and how they've inspired your journey?
Okay, so I have mostly drawn my inspirations not from the most popular people. I think I have a lot of inspirations at my family in general. I have seen a lot of my uncles, a lot of my cousins struggling always in their life and still making a mark in their life. So that is one of the core inspiration I have always tried to get, that if they can do it, I can also do it, number one. And number two, I think not for any religious beliefs or not for any political beliefs. I think Narendra Modi as a person has always given me a lot of inspiration. I feel that that man as a prime minister or as an ex-chief minister or as an orator or as a statesman, I think he's exceptional. The kind of work he puts, the kind of dedication he puts to his work. He don't believe in taking leaves, though it can be seen as a very anti-work-life balance kind of a statement. But I strongly feel that if you want to achieve something, especially in those years when you don't have enough, you have to stop thinking about things like work-life balance. Work-life balance is for privileged, as even my last speaker was talking, how sustainable living and sustainable clothing is for certain people. I think when you are in your peak years, you have to put in every possible minute, every possible hour to your work. The day you achieve something you wanted to achieve, then start thinking about things like work-life balance. So Narendra Modi in general has been always my inspiration, and a lot of people in my family.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it was very interesting and very inspiring. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.